Hi, my name's Diana, and if you're watching this video, it means that you are a cosmetologist, an esthetician, a beautician, a nail technician, a barber, and you were looking into opening up your own business. I'm going to sum this up in 7 steps. I'll put them on the screen. You're welcome to skip through them depending on what you have done or what you need to hear. Before I start, I would like to give you a disclaimer. I am not like a professional tax person. This is not like legal or professional advice. This is what I went through as a business owner in my personal experience. I owned a business in California for 6 years before I now moved to Washington State, and currently I'm in the stage where I'm transferring all my licenses, closing things down in one state, opening things up in another, and it feels like I'm doing this all over again. So I thought I would document the steps that I've taken to help me open up my business so that it could potentially help someone else as well. So this is me talking about my personal experience and some things I've learned along the way. One thing to know is that every single state is different and the steps are different for different states. Some things are required, some things aren't. I will specifically be able to speak on California and Washington because that's where I moved from to where I moved to, but you can always Google, what your state requires of you so that you could have more information and just be better informed. Today, I'll be walking you through the steps you need to take in order to set up your business for success. My target audience for this is specifically people in the beauty industry. So I've previously worked hourly, commission-based. I have opened and owned my own salon, and I've also rented a booth. Currently, I'm transitioning from owning a salon to renting a booth here just so I could build my clientele since I don't really know anyone here. But I've also helped my friend open up her own salon, and she is a manicurist, a licensed manicurist by the state board. So this is step number 1. Step number 1 is to get your cosmetology, esthetician, nail technician, barber license, etc. There is a difference between being licensed and being certified in a service. If you're certified, this probably means that you are expanding your education and your knowledge, and you took a class with a beautician or like a salon or something, and that doesn't legally make you prepared to provide services in a state depending on where you live. So if you want to legally provide services, you have to have your state license given to you by the state board. If you already have this, skip to step number 2. If you don't have this, then keep watching the step as you might hear some information you'd like to know. So this license is granted by the State Board of California or whichever state you're in. For example, in California, there is an age requirement of 17 years old. Specifically for cosmetologists in California, you have to complete a certain amount of hours and then you have to take a written exam. A few years ago, it was a written and like a hands-on exam, but now they've narrowed it down to a written. Depending on the beauty services that you want to provide, hours differ and test expectations differ, so just look into that. But in general, you need to be able to hold your license given to you by the state board to be able to provide these services. If you need help in signing up for school, check in with your local community college, which is what I did, or if you are younger than 17 years old, sometimes local high schools have beauty programs, so check your resources and see what's available to you. So step number 2 is to determine where you want to work. So you are either going to be a booth renter most likely or a salon owner. Decide which one you want to do. There are benefits and things that suck with both. But regardless, you need your license for the services, your personal license, and you need a license given to you by the city. Moving on to step number 3. In both cases, whether you rent a booth or a commercial space, I recommend you get liability insurance. This is going to be an insurance that's going to protect you and your clientele. For reference, personally, I pay $30 a month here in Washington, but when I was living in California, I think I would pay like $300 a year, and I used an insurance called Hiscox Insurance there. But I also, as a salon owner in California, had so many assets. I had like a salon bed and a beautiful light and, you know, a camera and money in my salon, and I had like, you know, things that could be damaged or stolen, or, you know, I would miss, or I would need to have insured, like physical things. So then I needed two different kinds of insurance: liability insurance in case someone got hurt, and then insurance to protect my property. So I needed two like insurances as a salon owner. But as a booth renter, now that I'm in Washington, regardless if I was in Washington or California, personally, if I was only renting a booth, would just get the liability insurance. So it cuts costs when you're a booth renter. Some pluses and minuses for booth renting and owning a salon. Get your insurance. That's step number 3. Figure out if you want both insurances for liability and then like for your property, or if you only want to do liability and if you're only renting a booth, figure that out. That is step number 3. Do what's best for you. Step number 4 is to determine if you need an establishment license. So again, I'm going back to talking about the establishment license. So my personal license is given to me by the State Board of Cosmetology, and the establishment license is a license, but for my salon, and that is going to be given to me by the same state board, but there are 2 different licenses that do 2 different things. This personal license allows me to do services on my clients, and the establishment license gives permission for the salon to be able to host people to do those services. So as the establishment license holder, you are responsible for complying with state board's rules and regulations no matter what state you are in. They can come in at any time. They can announce themselves as state board, and you have to comply with the cleanliness and labeling everything and sterilizing materials and metal instruments and cleaning your tools and just being safe. They make sure that you don't provide services you're not licensed to do. They make sure that everyone working in that establishment is licensed. So if you are going to be a salon owner, then you do need an establishment license. If you are renting a booth, most likely the salon owner should have their establishment license. So that is what the establishment license is. If you're going to be owning your own salon, before you open your salon, in order to make sure that the place that you're going to rent is in compliance with what you need, look up like the state board rules and regulations for that service that you're going to provide, and they should have like a checklist of things that you need depending if you're an esthetician or a barber. You know, if I'm providing lash extensions, I don't need a wash bowl to wash my client's hair, but if I'm a hairstylist, then I do need that. So there are different regulations for different services that are provided. So that's that with the establishment license. Step number 5 is a DBA. A DBA stands for doing business as, and it is also the same thing as a fictitious business name. So again, you can exchange these and they all mean the same thing. DBA, doing business as, and it's also known as a fictitious business name. A fictitious business name is a name that your business is going as. So for example, my legal name is Diana Ortega, but my business name is Pretty Please Lashes. They are 2 different names. In order for me to be able to use Pretty Please Lashes as my business name, I need to apply for a DBA in my state. I'll go on Google and I'll type in fictitious business name search engine, and I have to make sure that no one else has that name. When I make sure that no one else has that name in the state, I can claim that name and I will be doing business as that name in my state, and therefore I can do taxes and open up my bank account separate from my personal account using Pretty Please Lashes. So that is my example, using my own business and my own name. You can figure out if you want to do if you want to get a fictitious business name or not. I would recommend that you do, just to keep your finances separate and clean. But if I didn't want to apply and looking through the search engine and separate my business expenses, or, you know, I basically would go to my bank and I would say I want to use my legal name as my business. So I would be Diana Ortega Lashes or Diana Ortega Hair or whatever. And they would be able to give me a bank account separate from my personal account under that. But that, I feel like no one, personally, I felt like I wanted lashes to be in my business name. So I decided to do Pretty Please Lashes. And it's fun and it's cute and I could be creative. So That's up to you. But if you want to do business as something other than your legal name, you need a fictitious business name, also known as a DBA. That's step number 5. Before you decide on a name, though, one recommendation that I would give is to, like, for example, every single state has a different search engine. So I could be Pretty Please Lashes in California, and there could be another person in Washington or Oregon or whatever other state that is also Pretty Please Lashes. And so the Instagram or the TikTok or the YouTube handle could be taken. So I would say, just to make sure that the handles are available for you to use if you're going to be using those platforms before you actually register and use that search engine as the fictitious business name, because no one in your state can have that name, but people in other states can have that name. And obviously social media is worldwide, so just putting that out there. Yes. Anything else that I need to go over? I have my notes here. No. Okay, so step number 6 is, let's see. Okay, I'm going to start off with the note for step number 6. What do you identify as when you do tax paperwork or open a business account, which I will go over in step number 7 on how to do with your bank, or not necessarily with how to do, but what a bank most likely requires from you. Step number 6 is to identify as something. So there are different ways that you can be categorized when you do your taxes, and that you could be identified as a business. And depending on what you identify as is how you will be taxed. So everyone should consider doing research when choosing the following, but I will break down my opinion, my knowledge, and what I personally did. I am not an accountant. I'm not a tax person, an expert. I am not giving you advice or telling you what to do. This is just from my own research and what I've learned in my personal experience. So keep that in mind for these explanations. There are different ways you can identify yourself. The main ones are a sole prop, an S Corp, and an LLC. Those all might be something that you've heard of before. A sole proprietorship means that you and your business are one. So the way that I like to think about it is that you do taxes all together. If you get sued, people can go after your business. If your business gets sued, people can go after your personal assets. And an S Corp or an LLC separates you from your business. So if someone sues you, they can't go after your business. If someone sues your business, they can't go after your personal assets. Before you set your mind and you make a decision and you say, I'm scared, I want to get an LLC or an S Corp, let me just give you an explanation and go through all of them. So, first, I like to go over the definition of the word asset and give you my own definition. It is, by definition, I guess, it's a useful and desirable thing or quality, a single item of ownership having an exchange value. For the purpose of my explanation, I would describe an asset as something that has value for which you have full ownership of. For business purposes, I would consider a house or a car an asset. Ownership of things of that nature, huge, thousands and thousands of dollars, assets. Usually when you have like assets, it's worth having these things. And by assets, I don't mean like I have a camera and a pretty computer and a TV and nice shoes. That's not what an asset means to me. When I talk about business personally, to me, an asset would be like, I own a property. Not I'm buying a house. Like, no, I own a property. If you have a house, if I had a house, I'm going to speak personally, I would get an LLC or an S Corp. But since I don't own anything right now, I only own my car. But even then, like, how valuable is a car? It decreases in value. Is it really an asset or is it a liability? That's a whole other conversation. If someone sued me for a computer or a TV, I could go buy one. I'm good. But if someone sued me for a house that I had full ownership of, things of that nature, that would hurt. So that's how I personally think about it. If you have assets, consider signing up for a sole prop or an LLC, like I said before. take what I say with a grain of salt. I would do my own research, but I wanted to break this down for you to help you, and hopefully I didn't confuse you. I didn't have any help when I started my business, and I learned through trial and error when I opened my business. Keep track of all of your receipts when investing in your business. Track your expenses. Find a good tax person that's honest, that you trust for questions, preferably an experienced, seasoned person that works doing business taxes specifically over W-2s, like they specialize in businesses or small businesses. I've included my own opinions and personal breakdown of things in this video, so hopefully that helps. Step number 6 is a business bank account. A business bank account helps keep track of finances and write-offs for tax season. Anyway, when you open up a business account, they will need your ID, they'll need your personal address, they'll need the address of where you're going to be working. They'll need some money. This is a funny story. When I opened up my business account, my mom was actually with me, and I brought all of the documents, but I didn't bring any cash. And my mom had a few $100s on her, and I paid her back immediately after I went to the ATM. But that was funny because I opened up my business bank account at a bank that wasn't like the bank that I originally had. Like I went to another bank. So take money with you. But yeah, they will need your EIN, which is your employment identification number for taxes or the IRS, or your social security number. If you don't have a social, you can use your EIN number. Apply for this on the IRS website. The bank will ask for your DBA, also known as a fictitious business name, as I said before. They will also ask how you identify for paperwork, a sole prop, an LLC, or an S Corp. I was a sole prop. If you don't know, start off maybe as a sole prop, maybe not actually giving you advice, just mentioning what I did. They will ask for your business and your personal address. After all of these steps, you have legally probably opened and you are probably ready to run your business. I hope this video helped you. I know it's kind of long, but it's very important and necessary. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I didn't see a video like this on YouTube when I was starting, so I hope that this helps you. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, drop them down below. Like my video and share with your friends that need a little bit of help. I hope you took notes, and I wish you the best with your business. I wish you success. I hope that everything turns out well for you. I hope that you get a whole bunch of clients and you have full books and you have a blessed year. I'll see you next time. Bye.